We live in this world that's just constant noise, right? And it's so easy to feel like your whole worth is tied to what you're broadcasting online. But if you find yourself scrolling through social media and walking away feeling kind of anxious or like you're not enough, you're definitely not alone. And more importantly, it's not a personal failing, it's actually by design. Today, we're going to decode that design, what we call the digital illusion. Okay, so let's just get real for a second with a simple question. Have you ever closed an app only to find yourself feeling, I don't know, a little smaller, a little less accomplished than you did just a few moments before? Well, that feeling is incredibly common, and it actually has a name. It is so crucial to get this. That feeling is not on you. It's not about being too sensitive. What you're actually experiencing is this carefully constructed thing we're calling the digital illusion. It's basically a distortion of reality, and frankly, it's designed to hook you. So, what exactly is this digital illusion? Well, at its core, it's really a modern twist on a super ancient human impulse. It takes our fundamental biological need to connect with other people and, well, it pits it against a funhouse mirror version of what's real. So, how does this illusion actually pull it off? How does it work? It sets a very specific and very effective psychological trap. It actually turns our own need for connection into something that works against our own well being. Psychologists have had a term for this for a long time. It's called social comparison theory. It's just our natural, hardwired instinct to figure out where we stand by looking at what everyone else is doing. I mean, it's how we've survived and built societies for thousands of years. But in the digital age, this instinct has been completely hijacked. And this, right here, this is the absolute core of the problem. You are constantly comparing your own behind the scenes, all the messy, complicated day-to-day struggles, against someone else's perfectly curated, edited, and filtered highlight reel. It's an impossible comparison. You're basically set up to feel like you come up short every single time. And the result of this completely flawed comparison? It's not neutral. It actively creates this vicious feedback loop of anxiety. You feel inadequate, right? So you seek approval. That approval might soothe the anxiety for a minute, but it just reinforces the need for more outside validation, and boom, this cycle starts all over again. This whole thing leads to a really dangerous psychological state. It's called an external locus of evaluation. Fancy term, but it just means your sense of self-worth is no longer determined by your own internal standards and values. Instead, you've handed it over to the whims of things like likes, comments, and shares. Now here's the crucial point. This isn't just some minor annoyance we're talking about. For a high-functioning mind, this is a form of cognitive sabotage. You are literally training your brain to outsource its sense of value. And that completely undermines your autonomy and just shatters your focus. And this constant performance, this constant need to be on, it builds into something much more serious. There's a real, tangible cost to participating in this digital show. It takes a huge mental toll. The fallout from this is pretty significant. This endless comparison becomes a super low-value task that just drains your cognitive energy. It erodes your sense of who you are, it traps your brain, it makes your emotions unstable, and ultimately, it leads directly to burnout. The key asset you lose in this whole process is something called self-concept clarity. Think of this as your internal compass, that strong, confident, stable sense of who you are, what you value, and where you're headed. When that gets fuzzy, you start to feel totally lost. And this is the fundamental shift that happens, right? Your energy moves away from building a real life with real goals and instead shifts toward performing for some digital audience. You stop being the architect of your life and you become an actor in it. But, and this is a big but, there is a way out. The solution is to adopt a totally different philosophy, a strategy we like to call the quiet architect. This is all about taking back control and intentionally breaking that illusion. The core principle is actually pretty simple, but it's incredibly powerful. Prioritize privacy over popularity. Now, this isn't about hiding from the world or becoming a recluse, not at all. It's a strategic choice to protect your focus and your mental health. So, how do you actually do it? Well, it starts by making a very conscious decision to protect your mental space. You choose to be a bit more low-key. Not for anyone else, but for you, to deliberately step out of that comparison cycle. The whole goal is to shift your source of validation from the outside world back to yourself. And that brings us to the ultimate goal here, developing what's called an internal locus of evaluation. This is the absolute bedrock of inner security. It means you are the one who sets the standards. Your self-worth is judged by your own metrics, your own values, and your own progress. Period. I love this metaphor because it captures the idea so perfectly. The digital illusion is like a beautiful, super glossy architectural rendering. It looks stunning, it gets a ton of admiration, but there are no structural plans. There's nothing really holding it up. Because at the end of the day, a picture is just light and color, right? A beautiful image can never actually support the weight of a real life. For that, you need a foundation. You need internal wiring. You need substance that you can't even see on the surface. Okay, so let's bring all this together into what we can call your final blueprint. This is about how you can move forward from here and start building a life that has true substance, one that's immune to all the noise of the illusion. This right here is the critical mindset shift. You have to uncouple your sense of being valued from the act of being visible online. True validation, the kind that lasts, comes from within. It comes from knowing your own worth and living a life that aligns with your values. The goal is to build a type of confidence that is a permanent foundation. It's solid, it's stable, and most importantly, it's yours. It isn't something that can be boosted or shattered by some random change in an algorithm or the opinions of strangers. So just remember, you are the one holding the pen, you are the architect of your own reality. The only question is, are you going to let some fleeting, hollow illusion draw your blueprints, or are you going to design a life with a foundation that's actually strong enough to last?